So, we are live. Just a small introduction. Aidan from My Property Pros, not My Property Bros, is called into the workshop, and we are going to have a wee chat. We have poured ourselves a beer. Cheers. Aidan has been presented with his official
pint glass.
Behind the Beer and the Banter pint glass. I've been presented with a bottle of the finest, Johnny Walker. And then we're going to go behind the beer and the banter. So basically, just for a wee recap, Behind the Beer and the Banter is called that because it's a behind the curtains look at the entrepreneur life. It isn't an easy life. I've had my own trials and tribulations, and I think that just makes for a good conversation.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks for coming on, buddy.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. That's as professional as it's going to get. So it's just a loose framework. Let's start, middle, and then what does the future hold for yourself and My Property Pros?
Yeah.
So yeah, just a wee quick caveat. Like, I don't know anybody that comes on my shows. Do you know what I mean? So that it's as real as it gets. Like, you know, it's like a first date on it. It's fucking weird. But yeah, so hopefully by the end of the wee show, we'll have a better you know, working business, you know, and friendship relationship. So where the fuck are you from?
Well, North Belfast originally.
Yes.
Brookfield Drive, just off Clinwell Road. It's not the nicest place in the world, to be honest, but
It's home.
It's home. Well, was home for 14 odd years, and then we moved up to Newton Abbey. But yeah, a lot of early upbringings started there, and it's one of those things, like those first 14 years of my life, like near enough my whole life was in like a 1 square mile of that location. Like so many people from here.
Really, I was so small.
100%.
Yeah, it really, and it's even smaller now with social media and mobile phones
and
and stuff.
The more you see the rest of the world, the smaller you realise here is. It's like the more and more you broaden the horizons, the tinier and tinier here gets.
I know.
It's crazy. Whereas when you're growing up here, it's like
massive.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's even where I grew up, it's near the international airport there at Antrim. I grew up in Antrim. Anytime we go on holiday, I'll always take a wee drive through. The estate I grew up in. And the houses look so small. Yeah. It's the weirdest. The whole estate looks small. Yeah. It's the weirdest thing. But there's something nostalgic, you know, and rewarding about where you grew up. Like
100%. And I don't know. Sometimes when I'm talking about it, I'm almost
putting it down.
I almost like brag about it because like it's such a shithole. It's like I love where my mum and dad live now.
Yes.
Where I live now. I love. We just moved out there in November, and the comparison's so drastic.
Black and white.
And I'm proud that we're where we are now. Compared to where we were, and I didn't have a shit childhood or nothing. I had a great childhood, and I loved where I was when we lived there. I didn't know anything else, and it's like I still love the area. Like I'm a big Liverpool fan. I go back and watch the matches. I go to the social club quite a lot. I've loads of friends that still live in the kind of greater area, but those couple streets around Brookfield are like they're going to like dogs. Like it's crazy, and I don't know. Like I think there's such a risk of not risk, but like I say why it's like a bragging thing is like there's so many people who continue to live their entire life in that 1 square mile and never.
They don't escape.
Like I'm at the primary school within a mile. My first secondary school was within a mile. My granddad and my nanny both lived within a mile.
Cragger.
My mum's work was within a mile. My dad's wasn't. He lived. He worked over in Boucher, but
it's so much. It's crazy that I think there's like some kind of statistic. It's like we marry someone with
Yeah.
like there's 8 billion people in the world,
Yeah.
and we marry someone within a mile. So something like
Yeah.
that. I think again, it's just it's like a comfort zone thing.
100%.
So that would suggest to me that you are kind of comfortable, you know, with risk.
100%. And like,
because a lot of people don't move.
Yeah.
From
a lot of that comes down to mum and dad, to be fair, and like it's been the same with it being such a shit area. Like I was talking about them with my partner Jenna the other day, and like we were thinking kind of back and reminiscing a bit about it. Because I obviously knew we were calling it, I know the format, and I should have said that as a caveat. I've watched this podcast, quite a few episodes of it, so I've
got one fan. I got my one fan.
So I knew the structure a bit coming into it, obviously. So I was thinking about what I was going to say and all that, and thinking back to like the start of my life and all that, and kind of how that, trying to think of it through the perspective of why it shaped me and makes you an entrepreneur. And with like the 30 or 40 families that live near us, I only know like 2 or 3 other families whose parents had like proper jobs, like pay as you earn jobs, not claiming some sort of benefits or catching hand work and that sort of stuff. Like my mum worked in the community centre, it was part time. She was party raising us as well. My dad worked as a chef in BMW. Like,
very good.
But no means glamorous. He was the canteen chef at the start, but he absolutely loved it. And he was great at his job, and they both absolutely worked their arses off, like compared to like, everything else we were around. And it would have been really easy for us to kind of get stuck there, and we didn't, and that's purely down to mum and dad, like, and
great
their grind, and they were always kind of wanting us out of there, and my dad had kind of pinned Newton Abbey as like signposting where he seen our trajectory going, where he wanted our life going, and like, purely just from his hard work and determination, we're up there, like, you know, and I think seeing that growing up is like,
well, it's moulded you. It's kind of like our parents before there was the word influencer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our parents are our influencers. You know, before modern times labelled influencers. But your parents, you know, across the board, can be a good influence or a bad influence. And I think your mum and dad were motivated, to form their own trajectory out of where you grew up, due to, so I grew up in a housing estate, and there's a lot of temptations,
100%. That's what I say. You see people around you and the lives the trajectory that their lives are on, and
or not on, if you know what I mean. A trajectory by default, whereas your mum and dad were quite conscious about their trajectory, where they were going. Which is admirable and honourable, because as I say, I grew up in a housing estate, and as fun as it was, you do get to a certain stage where you're like
looking around you and seeing what's going on. I don't want to be here for this much longer.
It's a fucking melting pot of madness at sometimes. So primary school was fun.
Primary school was good. I went to primary school in New Lodge, which is again, another one of those.
Here we go.
Rough areas.
I know.
But that's where my mum's originally from, so she won't let me talk too bad about it, to be fair.
Cracker.
Primary school in New Lodge. Primary school was good. I had great teachers, to be fair. Like, for being a rough area, the teachers in that school were great. A lot of good influences there, and a lot of the right kinds of bad influences as well. There's people at the primary school who've been in prison and stuff now. So seeing what you didn't want to be and seeing what you wanted to be, and that kind of, I don't know, that primary school kind of pushed me into
more academic.
100%.
Giving school a go.
Secondary school I went to was Smalky's, a grammar school.
Yes.
I didn't care much about the status of grammar school or anything like that. It was more.
That was your vehicle away from.
I seen where those type of kids were going, and where
you didn't.
And I didn't want to go to that school, so I was like, I'm going this way.
But to be a young man and to have that kind of awareness as well is testament to yourself, because a lot of people just go with the crowd, they go with flow, and they get that kind of reality check when it's too late. You got that kind of, you were observing and you got that reality check Like prevention's better than cure.
Yeah.
You got that reality check on the right side there.
And I think at the time I was too young and too immature to know why I was making those decisions.
They were good decisions.
I just knew who I didn't want to be with. You know.
Yes.
I didn't know why. I just knew who. I didn't know who I wanted to be with. I just knew it wasn't them.
So your trajectory was formed in early primary school.
Primary school.
When you were seeing, the up and coming joyriders.
Yeah.
No, that's cracker. So primary school was good. Childhood was good.
Childhood was good.
Summer holidays.
Yeah, not loads. Like we went down south quite a lot. We did get the odd holiday here and there to Mallorca and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And,
but do you remember the summer holidays when we were younger? They were forever. Like,
oh yeah.
Like
2 months. You know what I mean? Imagine getting 2 months off now.
2 months now. Jeez Louise. Because obviously you being an exterior cleaner now. Does the weather affect you much?
Yeah, big time. I'm not, and it's one. I've noticed it as my life goes on, but you'd probably be sitting there all what life you're only telling or something. But I've noticed it the older I'm getting, the more I realise that the weather 100% affects my mood and. Yeah, I don't think I've got seasonal depression disorder or anything like that, but 100%.
No, it's coming though.
I'm in a better mood when it's brighter days. 100%. There's definitely 100%. There's a correlation, and the more you can be out and enjoying the weather, the better, rather than being stuck behind a desk and stuff like that.
There is indoor people and outdoor people.
Yeah.
So high school.
High school, well, we call it. I would have called it secondary school, but I didn't even know it was called high school here until recently. That way.
I know all the vocabulary shifts, like even, you've no kids.
No.
Yet? No.
Not yet.
It gets even more confusing. It gets even more confusing. Like see schools now. Like they're a law unto themselves now.
Yeah.
Like, and then you've got. Then you've got the government just cut everything, and the parents are having to pay more for this. Back in my day, I was talking to Maisie this morning there, or not this morning. It was after school. She came into school and she made some cake or something to school today, and she was talking about Spanish class or something that reminded me of a memory, and I was explaining it to her. I don't think she believed me. My French teacher was also the tuck shop kind of guy of the school.
Yeah.
So he would do the tuck shop. And he must have been making a fucking fortune. That money wasn't going back into the school. Because I'd done French for 5 years in high school, a couple of times a week. And every fucking class, right? He used to sell you stuff from the tuck shop.
Yeah.
So there's maybe 30 kids all lined up, getting their tuck shop. Like in class, like you wouldn't get touch up after, But by the time he sold all the kids, you had to eat it in class and all that, fucking brilliant, like. And then by the time you got a few wham bars down your neck, class was over. This was done for 5 years. Fucking brilliant memories. Like my high school.
You paid his pension on the sounds.
Absolutely. Like you don't see it. Looking at it as an adult, reflecting back, just knowing what it's like to financially support, a home and family, blah blah. He was killing it. He was killing it. Like he was getting his teacher money, and he was getting his wee side hustle. But it did. He was winning, we were winning. My high school was like a youth club.
Yeah.
It was a youth club. Like.
St Malachy's was a good instructor. Like, you get suspended if your haircut wasn't up the code. And that's one of those ones you're talking about, like looking back at it as an adult. See, looking back, I'm only out of school, like less than 10 years, and looking back at it now, I'm like, that's mental. Like a haircut. You didn't like my haircut and it affected my education. Like, where's the Where's the toss up between that? And then see, I guess I sent you before we started recording. I went to St Malachy's up until lower sixth. I failed 1 A level at lower sixth, and St Malachy's weren't for letting me back into the upper sixth. Yeah. I wasn't a straight A student by any means, or like. Yeah. But I got A's and B's all the way through school. Yeah. I barely ever failed the test, and the first exam I failed, they were like, "You're not coming back in."
Your child's a scumbag.
Yeah. You joke, but it was.
Man, I was still eating crayons when I was 21. For goodness sake.
And So it was like they would let me come back in, but I could only repeat lower sixth, and it was 100% looking back. It was definitely more of a pride thing. But I was like, I've been through 6 years of school with all these, like all my peers.
Yeah.
They put me the year below them, and I'm gonna watch them finish their last year of school, fuck off uni, and I'm gonna be left here with people I don't know. No chance.
Wow.
So I was adamant that I didn't want to go back. I wasn't going back to repeat the year in that school, and because of the choice of subjects I had, my combination, I couldn't. No other school offered my 3 A levels, so I did politics, journalism, and economics because at the time I wanted to be a politician.
Wow. That's another podcast.
It shows how immature and
no, not immature.
Not immature, but I was
life experience.
Yeah, I was at a time where I thought, the political crisis now is easy to solve. You know, I could do that. And you try my hand at that, and then you learn more about it. You're like, yeah, fuck that.
Yes.
But that's why I chose those subjects. But because there were 3 kind of non-traditional subjects, like not every school taught all 3 of them. Not every school even taught any of them.
Certainly not together.
I couldn't get a school to teach me all 3 to let me go into upper sixth. So the closest was St Louise's in West Belfast, and they taught politics, economics, and media studies, which is the closest they had to journalism. But I still had to repeat the year. So I was like, don't know.
Do you know how far out you were? It was a couple of marks, like, or did you?
No, that is a completely other story. I got a U, but the teacher who taught the subject had never taught the course before, and it was a whole. That's a whole.
Yeah, so ultimately it wasn't truly your fault.
Yeah, well, I'm a big believer in take as much responsibility as you can and stuff,
but he needed to have the curriculum.
100%. But so I did 2 years in St Louise's, and so it was a secondary school or high school, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
From going from a grammar school to that was like such a big. Plus, obviously, that was an all boys school. They were an all girls school, so huge contrast. Like those 2 years were. They definitely shaped a lot of my perspective on loads, especially the education system, but loads of things. Getting to see the difference between a school that was so heavily grade focused and a school that was so heavily like pastoral care focused, like how they take your feelings and all that stuff, and like the class moved at the pace of its still a student, whereas Smalkies, if you weren't keeping up, it was your problem, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like
so just going back a wee step. You went to an all girls school.
Yeah, so they let boys in upper sixth, but it's or upper and lower sixth, but it's one of the largest schools in Belfast. I think it might be the largest school in Belfast. There's like over I think it's 1,500 students they have.
Wow.
And when I went, it's different now because they let boys in it all the way through now. When I went, they didn't. When I went, I think there was 55 boys in a school of 1,500 girls. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, but being that age.
So what's the miles there?
Yeah. Well, you gotta
100 each.
You gotta take the age into it as well. Because I repeated the year as well. I was going to the N18, so which obviously then you're starting to go out.
Yeah.
For the first time, so.
You just got the odd 1,000 girls to get out. Oh, was there social media then?
Yeah.
As well?
I'm not that. I'm still young enough. Yeah. Social media, Instagram, still.
I might go back to school.
But so about almost a year in the St Louise's, I met Jenna. So Jenna and I got together then. So maybe I wasn't. I was 17 when I joined the school. Because Jenna and I got together just after I turned 18. And we've been together since. So that kind of helped reel me back in. I think otherwise I'd have been a little bit of not the girls so much.
You had 3 kids, but now.
But I think the new environment, the attention, and like a more of a easy access to alcohol and that relationship with alcohol, I'd have probably been.
Yeah,
you know, like,
that's how easy it is. Funny to go down the wrong road.
Yeah. So getting in a relationship that already kind of settled me quickly, you know, that way.
Yeah,
so I was
because you can lose 3 years. You know, you can leave high school and you can hem and have at this, or you can, you can have a fair go at something, but realise it's not for you, and then you can, get your relationship, and then you go, fuck this, I'm gonna go to Australia for a year, and, and then I'll come back and I'll maybe think, before you know it, you're 27. So yeah, by the sounds of it, what do you call your partner, Jenna? Yeah. You
I think about. We'll probably come on talk about stuff like this and stuff, but I think about things in like great detail. Like not to blow my own trumpet, but I definitely think one of my best skill sets is critical thinking. Like I think through things so much, and that's why I love podcasts and stuff because it's so thought provoking.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
my mind will run away for hours thinking about stuff.
Yes.
It goes through the train of thought to the nth degree, and so I think about where I am, how I got here, where I'm gonna go next, quite a lot, and so much of it definitely comes down to being in a relationship so young and being in such a we're together
Stable relationship.
We're together 6 years now, and going through being in a serious relationship at that age makes you mature quicker, 100%.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely. And women are more mature as well, naturally.
Exactly.
So no, it's a good combination because one of the biggest kind of influences, you know, in being successful or not is your partner.
Yeah, big time.
Do you know what I mean?
Big time.
Can make or break you. Let alone.
I don't ever know how to phrase it. I don't know if I say I got lucky with Jenna or not that I got lucky with her, she got lucky with me, but I think
from what I'm experiencing here, she's she's doing alright, you can maybe say that.
But I think that there's I do believe in luck and everything, and I think you meet people when you're meant to meet them, and there's a certain thing as fate without getting into all that sort of stuff, but a lot of work goes into being that young in such a serious relationship. So much work goes into it, and so much maturing you have to force yourself through.
And there's also a lot of temptation.
Yeah.
You know, when you're that young, you're like, because me and my partner, I always say to her, there's, you know, like an urban kind of myth that the grass is greener on the other side. Well, I always remind Tommy, quite a lot.
It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, mate. But no, the grass is greener where you water it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and meeting a great girl so young, you've acknowledged that, because a lot of people don't realise they've got a great girl because they believe the grass is greener on the other side, and then 7 years later they're like, it's not, and I lost a fucking cracker. Yeah. You know 100%. What I mean?
And it's like, teaches you that you give a bit, you gain a bit, and all relationships take work, but that
you got to
romantic relationships or
working relationships,
and I think working with some like learning. So primary school was an all boys school, secondary school was an all boys school, and so for the first 17 years of my life, I did not much interaction with women I wasn't related with. So learning how to interact with the opposite sex at a young age as well, especially for men, is like so important that I don't think a lot of boys get.
We're so different. I'll tell you one example, and I'm 44 now, and I'm just like I just as a side note, and I'll come back to this wee story. I remember years and years and years and years ago, I was had an argument with one of my girlfriends, not one of them, who was have a couple.
One of many
at that time. And I was just getting into time for a pint. I was like, fuck this here. And I was obviously offloading to the taxi driver. Yeah. The taxi driver was about 60. And I was like, mate, fucking, like, is it always like this? Or do they change? Like, what the fuck? And he said, I think I said something about that morning before I went out to work or something, and she still fucking got on about it. Something like that anyway. Yeah. And the taxi driver said to me, he says, mate, I said something to my wife about 20 years ago, and she still fucking got on about it. I said, so they don't fucking change it? I was like, yeah. But that was just a wee side note that prompted. But do you know how I know men and women are completely fucking different?
I agree.
And I don't think we'll ever be the same. I don't think we're designed to be the same. And just the other week, I was binding leopard print carpet. Yeah. Right? And I mean, the women went fucking nuts for it. I want the leopard print runner, I want a leopard print rug, I want leopard print fucking everything. Yeah. Right? When's the last time one of your best mates ever went fucking nuts over
leopard print?
Leopard print?
Not at all.
Never. Women, like, so it's just another bit of evidence that women just completely are different.
Tastes, interests, all that, it's just,
it's mental.
It's more than biology, like, there's definitely psychological differences between the two. And I think, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff about people don't want to acknowledge that nowadays and stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of issues with how young men behave around women, and I think so much of that comes from the fact that we're not acknowledging that there's a massive difference. And and young men need to be taught about that more in terms of how they behave. And I say, like,
yeah.
Sometimes, like I say, that's why I'm so grateful. That nothing happens by chance, and I say like the relationship took work, but that being in such a relationship so young, which and obviously there's other, I'd say, circumstances like my mum and dad and seeing how their relationship is, and obviously that teaches me to be respectful and stuff too. But that being in a relationship so serious, so young, 100% changes. It has massively benefited so many different parts of my life, but also how I interact with women day to day is knowing how to behave yourself so important.
Because ultimately, you have to naturally and like within microseconds gain the trust of your customers, female, and I'm also really mindful of it. I'm a bloke turning up to say a female old age pensioner or a single mother, or and you're running about their house.
Yeah. You need there to be a certain level of trust because they're inviting you into their home.
And how you kind of present yourself, the kind of energy you give off. Do you know what I mean? People are trusting you to come to their home and work.
Yeah.
So and it is, you can lose someone's trust.
Yeah.
Quickly, especially a customer, and that's puts bread on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd obviously be really mindful, of when you're in a woman's home which is on her own, or you're in a single mother's.
I will. Yeah. I'm quite.
Are you mindful?
I'm mindful.
You speak a little softer. You don't use bad language. You don't mind if I use your tap, or
I try to be mindful of every interaction with everyone and day to day.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And what we were saying before we started recording, I don't try and be fake or bullshit people or anything like that. I try authenticity is the easiest and
for everybody
thing to give away. But yet so many people don't do it.
No. It's like a liar has to have a great memory because they're not going to remember what he said.
And if you're being authentic, it's not being non-authentic, but like it's important to. I don't know, a good skill set to have, especially when you're in customer service based business, is assessing someone's character and then not judging what parts of your character you show them, but kind of like if it's like a jigsaw puzzle, try and make the pieces fit without changing who you are as a person. You gotta present yourself in a certain way, especially again with it being a customer service business. And I try and keep that in mind. But obviously, I do it way more when I'm dealing with customers and work.
Yes.
But I try and do that in day to day life. Like I think that's the best way to leave everyone with a positive kind of taste in their mouth. Impression's a better way of putting that. Yeah.
And also you find your tribe, because if you're running around being fake, you're trying to. Because I was guilty of it, when I was younger, growing up, like people pleasing. Like how you're meant to find yourself and your tribe when you're people pleasing here, people pleasing there, people play, and it's like you don't fucking. It's the wrong way to go. Authenticity, just. Be yourself and you'll find, your tribe, and it's kind of like years ago, it's kind of like, it's almost like the old cliche salesman is a liar.
Yeah.
It's an old cliche sleazy.
Yeah.
Will tell you what you want to hear to get the sale.
Yeah.
It's kind of like using that as an example. People go through life like that. It's like they have to, wear a mask, a fake mask.
Yeah. And that's like again, just like what we were saying before we started recording, but that's like it drains a lot of energy. It takes a lot to keep that up,
It's a lot of energy and a lot of mental health issues manifest from that.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and it shouldn't even have to be talked about, where you should be allowed to freely, comfortably be your fucking self.
Yeah.
And
if you're not, you're with the wrong people.
You're with the wrong people. Like
I listen to loads of podcasts and a good mix between recreational stuff and like comedy and football podcasts, and then like loads of business and entrepreneurship stuff. And I love Alex and Mosey. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love Alex and Mosey and him and Chris Williamson, and I like Chris Williamson's podcast, but especially the episodes of Alex and Mosey are unbelievable. He's got 4 episodes now. I think I've listened to them all 3 or 4 times actually, and they're all 3 hours each, so it's some listening like. But
and it's all real as fuck.
Yeah.
How do you come? That's just his personality. You know, you'll gravitate towards him.
As I said, I think he's probably one of the deepest thinkers in modern time. Like he would be like a philosopher in ancient Greek times. You know, like how deeply he thinks through. It's obviously the subject matter is usually entrepreneurship because that's where his focus is, but obviously that's where our focus is too. So it's good hearing about it. Yeah. See the level of depth in which he thinks about stuff. I think it's unbelievable. And like, I don't know how many of those podcasts you listen to, but some of his he defines what words mean to him rather than what Oxford Dictionary says they mean sometimes.
I know. It's even Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I love Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. I love him, and I used to do the exact same exercise that he started talking about, and it totally normalised it for me. But I used to do it. I don't know why I used to do it, but I used to journal a lot.
Yeah.
Still do the odd time now. That's why I got that board. I got my vision board back.
I think
I was
going to say I think I may have the exact same one, but yours might be bigger than mine.
Was it getting on Amazon?
Yeah.
Well, I got it on Amazon, and then underneath it there was the sizes.
Yeah,
I kind of thought the bigger one would fit up there.
Yeah, I think you've got a bigger one than mine.
We'll cut that out because that would be a first. We're here being authentic.
Remind me to talk about that.
Yes. So I only got it the other day because years ago I used to journal a lot. I used to have a vision board, and then just to wrap up that wee story with Jordan Peterson that you were talking about. Your meaning of a word versus the dictionary's meaning of the word versus like the 5 whys. You know, if you keep stripping it back, you know, I used to do that. And I used to read something, and Jordan Peterson talked about this, and it completely normalised it for me because I used to keep things like that just to myself whenever I would have been journaling about, you know, things, decluttering. Our take on a word versus the dictionary's, you know, truthful version of, or not truthful meaning of the word, 2 different things. But I used to strip it right back and then cross-reference it to the dictionary, and then if I had to update, you know, the software, update my interpretation of the word to the actual meaning of the word, I was more than happy to do that process. Like, but I was doing all that stuff, like, you know, I was sneaking off to the library and fucking reading books and stuff, and then, you know, fast forward, you know, 20 years, you've got it at your hand now. You can, you know, because I still do it the odd time. I'll go on to Google on the phone and I'll put in the meaning of a word or whatever. But yeah, you know. I think I said it online. Like the world really is at your fingertips now. 24. You know, I can't wait to see where you are when you're 44. Like I'm bang on 20 years on. But I get out of the way of all of it.
Yeah.
And the vision board is one of the things that I'm bringing back. I'm bringing it back, man.
Well, it's like the reason I bought one of those, and I keep. It's one of those ones I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I don't do it. I bought a journal, I haven't opened it yet. I bought a journal, like, I think I bought it Boxing Day, the day after Boxing Day. I was like, right, January 1st, I'm going to start journaling. Like, and the reason I had it in my head was I listened to so many podcasts, and it's like, you said if the world's at my fingertips, I think the world is at everyone's fingertips, especially in today's day and age. I think so much, like, with how much information's out there on the internet, and like, banging on about podcasts, like, so many successful people are just out there talking about how they, like, giving away their blueprint. It's just out there, and there's never been more access to information to go and do stuff in yourself, you know that way. But all those successful people I listen to are always, they're all saying they're journaling, and it's like there must be something in it for all these. If they're all doing it and it's working, there's got to be some proof in the pudding. So I bought the journal. It's not worth anything in it, like so.
What journal was it?
One of Amazon.
Amazon.
It's got a navy. It's got a navy cover. It's got a navy cover on it. I couldn't tell you.
my era. This is
it's just blank. It's just blank.
Because I got one too. It was called "This Is My Era."
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. But again, I haven't journaled in it. But there's a really, really good book you have to get. You might have, because you've watched a few of the shows, you might have heard me mention it before, and it's The Artist's Way.
Right.
By Julia Cameron.
Sorry to
no.
But one of the I've listened. I couldn't tell you. I've listened to quite a few episodes of this. The best one I listened to was the one with, and it's weird because I've known him in real life, but I didn't want to say it. I was like, I seen you on this podcast. Ross Porter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The episode you attended was class.
Yeah, really?
You talked about loads of stuff that I'd be interested in and that sort of stuff.
Very good. And then you got to meet Ross at
the
BNI chapter.
And then I met Ross again at a BNI training event like a couple of weeks later. And then when you put the post up announcing this, you had me on Facebook, and I was like,
no, that's so cool. Ross will love that.
But I think you mentioned, but the reason I brought that up,
Julia Cameron was mentioned on there. Because, a lot of people, do it, and it's a trait of people that kind of get ahead in life. I was doing it 20 years ago, before social media, internet, blah blah blah, because by pure, like we touched on earlier, luck, fate, whatever. I came across this book, and she, I think I'll say she was the first, because it was the first in my life and experience to really push. I think she was this journaling carry on. Mm-hmm. So for me it was, like pressure washing, so therapeutic. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like binding rugs, or cleaning the roof. It's just cleansing, cleaning. There's something fucking rewarding about 100%. It. So for me, morning pages, it's called, in Julia Cameron's book, where you go up in the morning and you just declutter. There's no rhyme or reason or purpose, or it's just getting the fucking shit out of it. So I'll always tell people about that book, because that book genuinely changed the trajectory of my life. Mm-hmm. Because if you think of this as a box, we've got our five senses and our sixth sense. Like, it's constantly getting filled with shit. Like, some good stuff, some bad stuff, some in the middle, but it's constantly getting filled. So where's the decluttering?
Yeah, that's something I'm really like. That's probably one of my biggest downfalls. Maybe too strong a word, but that's something I really need to work on. But like I say, I do so much critical thinking and think so much through to the nth degree, and then I go through that big train of thought, and then maybe not touching that subject again in my mind for another 3 months, and it's like, I just went through all that thought and I had a big deep thought process. I didn't write any of it down. Yeah. And then you have to go through it again. You're like, that's wasted time. It's wasted brain space. If I hadn't really write that down, even just bullet points that like get you to the point quicker.
Yeah. I think the instead of looking at it as because we all have insecurities, we all have fears, we all have doubts. Sure. But a way of reframing it that I came across once upon a time was, instead of looking at it as an insecurity or a fear or a doubt or a blah blah blah, look at it as an opportunity for growth. So that's how I approached all my demons on pen and paper. Yeah. Because if you looked at it as a downfall, you'll resist going near it, to critically think it through, to get to the rainbow of it all. Yeah. But if you look at it as an opportunity for growth here, you will get closure with it.
Yeah. I'm a big, massive believer in like everything happens for a reason. Like it's quoted so many times on podcasts, so it's a bit
cliche.
Yeah. The Chinese proverb about the horse farmer, or the Chinese proverb about the farmer and the horse. You've heard that? Yeah. The Chinese farmer all his crops die, and his son's out one day and finds a wild horse, brings it back. Everyone's like, oh, that's all the crops die. Everyone's like, oh, that's so bad. He's like, yeah, maybe. Son finds the horse, and he's like, oh, that's so great. He's like, yeah, maybe. Horse runs away. Everyone's like, oh, that's terrible. He's like, yeah, maybe. Then the horse comes back with a bunch of other horses. Everyone's like, oh, that's great. He's like, yeah, maybe. Horse kicks, breaks his son's leg. Everyone's like, that's so bad. He's like,
the war starts, and then the son doesn't get to go to war, because he's got to go.
And the whole thing is like, you don't know the consequences of any action in your life. So all you know is how it's affecting you right now. You've no idea how it's affecting down the line. it's like, why make judgments on something before it happens and see where the trajectory puts you on? Like, and the reason why I kind of get that so much is like, it's so easy to, I can plot the points in my life where I was like, fuck, so devastated about that. Like I was so devastated about not getting back into St. Malachy's.
Yes.
Went to St. Louise's. It made me realize.
Met your missus?
Met Jenna. It made me realize I didn't want to be a politician.
Yeah.
I had a brilliant politics teacher in St. Louise's who had a really good way of giving you her opinion without giving your opinion, because being a politics teacher is meant to be non-biased. She wasn't, but she was brilliant, and that really opened my mind in terms of my view on politics, and made me realise it wasn't for me. Which I don't think that if I got back in the upper second St. Malachy's, I could be a graduate now and being an office worker in some political party, and not even have realised. I'd have met Jenna, the biggest one, and then not have realised that that's not what I want to be doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's loads of different. I'm sure everyone can think back, plot points where they thought it was going to be terrible and something better came from it, or something where they thought it was going to be great and something shit came from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's two other kind of good examples. There's the one where the guy's a fisher.
Yeah.
He goes out in his fishing boat every day, and then he meets a guy and he says, "We'll get 2 fishing boats." And I said, "Okay, all right." And then he says, "You know,
is he from Belfast?"
He's from New Lodge. And then he said, "Get 3 fishing boats, get 4 fishing boats." And then it was kind of like, you know, someone else said, "Well, why are you doing all this?" He says, "So one day I can sit and go out in my fishing boat and relax." And he's like, "Well, you're doing that now. So why go through all that just so you can have peace to go out on your fishing boat and relax?" And then there was another one, a guy used to always run for the plane. He used to, like a kind of international kind of sales guy, and he always used to run for the plane. He's like, he was always late, and he always used to run for the plane. But he'd be sitting on the plane and passenger so and so would still get on after him, and you know, we're holding things up, just the captain, or we're holding things up, we're waiting on the notes from the engineer, and he was like, "Fuck this, I've never run again. I'm never run. If I'm late, I'll be late because I know somebody else is going to be late, or there's going to be some other delay." He said, so he just started, and he says there's times when he turned up and the flight was cancelled, or he says it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like you're preempting that you're going to do the right thing per se, but there's so many external factors that influence, you know, your train of thought. Like, I think ultimately we all just need to live in the present. Yeah, and you know? I think I haven't heard that one about the fisherman. Yeah, it goes into more detail. Yeah, I just kind of wrapped it up. But I think that's more a. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's your goal, and what's the steps towards the goal? And it's like one of those ones that's like the quote Alex from Mosey, but you've already achieved the things that you said would make you happy, and you're still not happy. You know that way. It's like it's no like you're older than me. I'm sure you've got the points where you're correct. When I clean 50 carpets, I'm gonna be buzzing. Yeah. Or when I'm making X amount a month, that's when I'm gonna be the business is gonna be flying, and you get there and you're like, yeah, I've got there, but what's next? Yeah, I fall into that category of always moving the goalposts. I think that's important. I think every entrepreneur is like that, and it's about realizing that you enjoy the process of the in between. What it takes to get from A to B, and what it takes to get to hit that next one, and pushing yourself. 100%. It's not about the result. That's what drives you, and that's what you believe it is. But you get rewarded from the process. Yeah, 100%. I know, especially when you're doing something we're doing, and you're talking about how therapeutic it is. Like, it sounds so like help and like I'm saying it just because it sounds good to potential customers, but I genuinely love doing exterior cleaning. Like, I just jet washed my cousin's driving. It was a big job. It probably would have been a couple £100, and originally I was like, listen, pay me for the materials, the hypo and the petrol I'm putting down, and I'll do this. I'll do it for free. Basically, you just pay for the thing. And I think it's big enough job. It's probably gonna be £50 material, maybe £60 material. She paid no bars, smart did it.
I was doing it, and I just had a blast.
Yeah.
And I got content out of it, so I got a great video out of it, because I record everything I'm doing.
Me too.
So I got a great video out of it, was enjoying myself, the weather was great, getting down, it was a good day.
Yeah.
Earphones in, I was listening to a great podcast,
Yeah.
maybe this one, I can't remember which one I was listening to that day, but I was listening to a podcast. Really enjoyed myself. She got home, she was out working that day, and she's getting married here on Easter Tuesday, and she was like, trying to give me the money, and I was like, no, don't. I was like, listen, there's your wedding present, because this is the first wedding. This is the first wedding I've been to. And I know it's a tradition you give someone a big sum of money, but that would have been a couple £100, and she was trying to give me a couple £100 because even though I only asked her for that, she was going to try to pay me more. And I was like, listen, don't.
Yeah.
There's your wedding present. And in my mind, she feels like I've done her a massive favour. I don't get me wrong, I did class, the job turned out well, but I really enjoyed doing that. So I like, we were thinking, and she's my cousin, and I was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not out anything other than my time, and I had a great. It's not like I didn't enjoy myself. I had a great time doing it, and I got the video, so I still got something from it. But if I'm doing a job I don't like, I'm gonna find doing stuff like that really difficult.
Yeah.
And I don't think if you don't enjoy cleaning carpets, you're not gonna. When someone's coming up to you and being like, "Oh, can you do that? Get this really bad stain out?" It's more of like a challenge to you.
Well, it's you're sitting down at dinner, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And someone phones about an emergency, and you're like, if you didn't get some kind of reward from it,
from the actual process itself,
you
wouldn't want to do it.
You're saying no.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to getting up from a dinner table and saying, "Oh well." I tell you an example. A girl phoned me in a panic one time. Now that equipment is ultimately water extraction.
Sure.
You know, mechanics. You know, I'm putting the water and chemical into the carpet and I'm taking it out. But it's kind of like a transferable kind of skill.
Sure.
Girl phones me in a panic one day, and I didn't enjoy extracting water from carpet. Weird. I would just said no to her. She was cleaning out the fish tank, and she had believed that she'd turned the suction kind of feature off. She nipped out to do something, and when she returned home, hundreds and hundreds of litres of water from the fish tank was in the living room floor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I'd been working all day, and it just
For pleasure, I'm a since they're in carpet cleaner. I don't think
I know.
Because obviously, you saying it now that extracts water, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I don't really
wouldn't connect the two dots.
Who don't know what?
How the fuck am I getting this out of this carpet? But yeah, no, smart girl. But I was literally just sat down with dinner, and I was like, it's a bit of an emergency, I suppose. But like two options here: go bullshit, or I can, go do it. Like, and I just thought that was all quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't just going to clean the hall, stairs and landing and the master bedroom and the fucking living room, because, family are visiting tomorrow off chance. It was
it's
something a bit different.
And then adds a hitch to your belt, and the experience you gain from it you never know, might be useful. You can't even, and again, what we're saying, you don't know how it's going to affect you in the line. The experience you get from that, you don't know what you're going to...
How it's going to come in handy up ahead. But enough about me.
You're an interesting guy.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But I always love to just bring it back to my guests, So we done the primary school, we done the high school, and then, so did you have any other jobs before my property pros? Or how did you end up? Because it's a franchise, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a franchise. I've been working since day after 2016. Like, it's not so much for instance, numbers to the door. I was out to work. Not that mom and I were like, right, go out and start earning wages for the house. It was more so like what you learn when you're out the door, and like.
Absolutely.
Also, I don't know. Maybe that's really different. I think I wanted to go out and work. And
yeah.
First job was in a chippy. I was only there for a couple of weeks, and then. Right after that, I got a job in Toys R Us in Newton Abbey. It was a great first proper job.
And that was massive too up there.
Big work, and it's so good. Like I used to get paid to build Lego sets and stuff like that. Perfect job for a 16-year-old. Like, like helping parents pick what their kids were getting for Christmas. I was like, I couldn't be better qualified to tell you what to do. Funny just learned because I'm not real.
Yeah, I just stopped getting stuff for Christmas myself.
Great, perfect first job, but then obviously Toys R Us closed down.
Yeah.
Next job was in home base.
Yes.
In Newton Abbey.
Yeah.
And I was there for like 4 years, and it was a cracking job. Like
for all the right reasons, or all the wrong reasons.
All the right. Well, mainly the right reasons. Mainly the right reasons. So many, and again, didn't realize it at the time. So many of the skills I learned in that job were unbelievable. Like my dad won't mind me saying he's not very technical or that way in minded, and I wasn't really until I had that job. I'm by no means a mechanic or an engineer now, but I put my hand to things a lot easier than I could before that job, because you learn a lot on the job. I had to build the display sets of the furniture and stuff like that. You
just using tools, using your hands, building your belief.
Learning on the job, learning what people who were more experienced than me were giving advice on paint or tools or that sort of thing. I was there for nearly 4 years, great amount of experience, plus just kind of went to shit towards the end as well. So I basically became a manager because I was one of the most I must have been like 2021 when I closed down. I was like one of the most experienced there. I've been there one of the longest. Apart from the actual managers, all the floor staff, I was like, there was girls in the tills who've been there longer than me, but all the floor staff, I was there almost
you knew your way around.
So during COVID and all, and during the lockdown, I had like, they gave me like, I wasn't good. To be fair, thinking back, I wasn't getting paid a manager's wage, but they gave me like manager's responsibilities, and I loved it at the time. I was like, nah, you're not getting in the shop today. What's the reason? I just don't want you in. Something like that.
The abuse of power.
Exactly, the authority. So, but it was really good. And then when the store was closed down, we hired people, and I was able to get Jenna a job in it. So that was Jenna's first job, which was good. We got to work together.
Abusive power.
Yeah. We got to work together that summer, and then they hired loads of like people my age and younger. And she was like that's something we were working. We were putting a graft in, but it was like a community centre. Like it was like
a youth club.
Yeah, youth club, such good crack. I honestly loved the job. And I was working basically full time at the end because of COVID and lockdown. And school wasn't on and all that sort of stuff. And that closed. Next job was in Tesco's. Got the job in Tesco's about 2 weeks after. From I've been 16, I've only not had a job about a month. honest to God. There was about 2 weeks between the Chippy and Toys R Us. I literally, Toys R Us started, I started home base a couple of days later. And then when home base closed, it was about 2 weeks before I got a job in Tesco's. And I was working in the freezer department, and then I got a job as a delivery driver doing the home deliveries.
Oh wow!
Which again, one of those things you don't know why it's going to help you down the line. Doing deliveries in Newton Abbey, I learned Newton Abbey. I knew the area so well, and then because of COVID again, obviously COVID went on for 2-3 years basically. During that time, my dad got made redundant from BMW.
Yes.
He had flirted with the idea of opening a chippy or a cafe for a while. He always knew he wanted to do something entrepreneurial minded. I try and condense the story so it doesn't take too long. I'm so bad at going off on tangents. A friend of him recommended a franchise called Cafe to You. I'm sure you've see it's a coffee cart.
Big red vans.
It's like a horse box, that sort of style of thing. Started looking into them. He then found, I think it was Franchise Direct or British Franchise Association it was.
I tagged you in that thing the other day. Very good.
Remember to come on blog, there's loads of stuff about that. British Franchise Association, start looking through the franchises and kind of clicking, reading into it. And we're not from a business background at all. My dad's dad worked for the water board, made off his whole life. He had a couple odd jobs. He got a job on the water board, basically worked his whole life. I don't even know my mum's mum and dad did. My mum's dad worked on the ships. We've always been like career men, no entrepreneurial background in our family at all. My dad kind of always had that in him, but never really did anything up until the being made redundant kind of gave him a platform to kind of bounce for it. So he's looking through. At the point I was getting to, we weren't really familiar with franchise which I don't think loads of people are here. I don't think loads of people are in the UK.
No.
Which is crazy because see, it's like. I'll get into that in a second. So he's looking through the British Franchise Association, looking through all the websites, finds a company called My Window Cleaner.
Yes.
Looks in and starts reading through it, and it's like wow, these guys seem the real. Comparing them to everything else you see on the website, he's like, these guys sound really good. He kind of always liked the idea of window cleaning.
Yep.
He's like, these sound like the real deal. The support sounds good. Blah blah blah. So one thing
That's the beauty of a franchise is you get the
support,
the proof of concept and
the
support.
So he goes through interview process, blah blah blah. And at this stage, I'm aware he's doing something, but it wasn't. Thinking back, I don't think I had my full attention. I don't know what I was up to or anything like that. But I remember he was doing something, and it wasn't until he was like accepted and had paid his deposit that I knew firmly what he was up to. So he buys the franchise, getting ready to launch, and I can't remember. He buys the franchise in November, December time. His launch time's March. This is 2021. So he buys it 2020, it's 2021. Like just coming lockdown, COVID times. But I say COVID gave him the platform to do it. So it sounded shit. He was being redundant. It sounded shit. My dad was up to the moon. He was never redundant because he was there for like 20 years. He got a fat payment that helped him buy the franchise. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the money to do it. Like,
yes.
My mum and dad, they got stung in the property ladder in Brookfield.
They equity territory.
They used I don't know if you're familiar with co-ownership, without giving too much of the financial information away. They used co-ownership, got stung badly with it, and I've been renting since.
Yeah.
So it's not like they had a load of equity there. That gave us the perfect platform to kind of move on from his redundancy. We wouldn't have been able to do it without it.
Of course.
So he uses the redundancy, buys the franchise, starts getting launched, and he's telling me about the franchise, and he's like, yeah, it's window cleaning. And I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be a window cleaner for a time, like window cleaning business. Not thinking too much about it. Like, I'm kind of proud of my daddy starting a business, but I'm like, window cleaning business, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not saying the word. Like, you know,
where's the blue sky thinking here?
Yeah. And I don't think I fully understood what franchise was then. I think if I did, I'd probably been like, what do you need a franchise to help you start a window cleaning business, that sort of thing. And I think he's a month or two down the line, and he shows me the software the computer system's built on and how it's running. And he shows me it. And my whole life I've been good with technology. I put my hand at any bit of computer and work out how to use it quite quickly.
Brilliant.
And quite good at like problem solving computer wise and knowing how to fix stuff. And I've always been really decent with technology, so I understand systems quite well. And being in big companies like Homebase, Toys R Us, Tesco's, I've seen what their computer systems look like. Yeah. Some of them, there's a reason some of them aren't around anymore. Some of their computer systems were shit. No way. Even Tesco's computer systems were so outdated. Wow. Homebase's tills were from the early 90s. So I knew about what the big corporation computer systems look like. So he shows me, it's called Gloria, the IT system. And he shows me how it works, how he books his work, the automation behind it, and what it does in terms of his accountancy and stuff. And I'm like, this runs 90% of your business. This does 90% of your admin for you. Yeah. And then I started understanding a bit more about franchise and how it works. And I was like, if you were paying a percentage of your fees just to have this computer system, it would be worth it. It'd still be worth it. If you got nothing else but this computer system, it would be worth it, because that's the part of the business I knew my dad would struggle with most. The money management, dealing with the automation of customers, booking the work, the communication with customers. Gloria does it all, literally all of it. So he starts building away and stuff, blah blah blah.
So I'm guessing there's a rebrand somewhere here.
Yeah, there's a rebrand. Yeah. So it was my window cleaner. Sorry, I should have said that. So it was my window cleaner.
Another pint time.
Yes, please.
Do you want to go for it now?
Sure. Do you want to flip the camera, or does it work?
Oh, we'll flip the camera. Or do you want to do it on yours?
Sure.
Or because both of them are on there then. I poured the first ones 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've actually ever poured a pint. From a pool? No, from anything. So there's not too often offered behind a bar.
That's us now, buddy.
Get the brand in it.
Get the brand in it. Check us out.
I think I've told it too quickly. The head's going to be massive on this.
Not too bad though. Not too shabby.
You say as you move your glass away into the years.
I'll take it from here, son. That's it. You see, you need the big tilt on it, you see, and then see the white foam. Yeah. If you watch it, it'll kind of tell you when to tilt, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
I think I've gone the other way on this. There's no head at all.
No, actually no, but. And you get the kind of natural kind of foaming will come up. Yeah, That's not
I mean, just on my head.
bad.
I went from one extreme to the other.
Well, the next pint will be perfect. Yeah. Tell us. Perfect, buddy.
Which one do you want?
There you go for that. Alright, we're getting there. But see, because the sun was out today,
Yeah.
I think you get a heater. We gas tank thing for the heater.
Right.
It went over there.
I just no need for it. It's not that cold.
It's not too bad.
Working outdoors, you get used to it.
Oh, you
being
do.
cold.
You do.
So,
Where were we?
so it's my window cleaner.
Yes.
He.
Because I was getting confused there. I was like,
sorry, I
windows,
should
windows.
have prefixed it with by saying that. Apologies.
And then I was thinking, my property pro. I was like, did your dad buy a toothbrush?
So
But yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's my window cleaner. He's up running for a while, and so I'll jump back. I'll come back again.
Yeah.
So after St. Louise's, I originally was planning on going to Newcastle, Cardiff, or
Uni?
yeah, Newcastle, Cardiff. I can't remember what the other option was. They were all English. Oh, Manchester. Obviously Manchester. Because I wanted to go. I'm a massive United fan. I was basically only put Manchester Metropolitan Uni down in my UCAS form so that I could get a United season ticket. The other camp. So it was so bad that the Newcastle and Cardiff campus, I'd already mapped out how long it took to get to. But obviously at this point, Jan and I are getting a bit more serious, and I'm like weighing up my options. Then the pandemic hits, and I'm like, do I really want to be going to uni over here this time of year with all this going on? So I end up, UCAS do this thing where you can cancel. I was offered, I got 4 conditional offers, so depending on what my levels were, I'd get into the uni. UCAS have this thing where you can reject all 4 and get one additional, like you can ask for one additional place.
Okay.
But you reject those offers, so they're gone now. So I rejected all 4 of those offers and asked for one additional place at Ulster. Doing communication management and public relations, which was, it's kind of like, you ever watch, the way I always try and say this, people will be interested to see if you get it. You ever watched Mad Men?
Mad Men?
Yeah.
No. The office thing?
Yeah.
No,
It's an advertising PR agency. Basically,
yes.
that degree qualifies you for that job. They're doing
Gotcha.
it's set in the 60s.
I was quite intrigued by it because I love marketing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is that kind of...
Yeah, it's a great show. But that degree kind of qualifies you for that job. So it is marketing, but it's more of a PR side of marketing and how you're
public relations.
And your communication, how you word things and present yourself and all that sort of stuff. Blah 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 blah. So I'm a uni doing it.
Anti-authentic.
Yeah. Exactly. But from a branding perspective, there's ways and means of what you gotta do. Excuse me. So I'm at uni doing that. Part-time working at Tesco's. Dad buys this franchise, going for a while, and I'm like, let me try and help you with your social media, your marketing that way. There's lots you're not doing that you should be doing that I think would help you. So it gives me a lot of this account. I start doing some posts for him, and then I can't believe we're this far. I don't know how long we've been recording, but I can't believe we're this far into the podcast, and I'm only just mentioning Karen and Dave. So the franchisor Karen Pruer.
Karen and Dave,
2 franchisors of my property pros. Then was my window cleaner.
Yes.
Husband and wife.
Got you. Were they the founders?
Founders and franchisors, directors.
Yep.
Co-directors.
Give me discount, I might get involved.
I want NI domination right now.
I'll stick to carpets. My carpet pros.
She reaches out to my mum and she's like, because my mum's doing the admin for my dad, but still working her job as well. She's like, are you doing this social media stuff? I'm noticing the Abbey branch doing really well on Facebook, getting a lot of customers from that. What are you doing differently? And she's like, listen, I'd love to take the credit, but it's not me, it's our son Aidan been doing it for us. And she's like, oh, okay. Do you mind if I have a conversation with him? She's like, yeah, go for it. So Karen reached out to me, asked me what I'd be interested in doing a wee bit of like almost intern work, sort of that.
Yeah.
Sort of for the marketing, for the network, helping out that way. I'm like, yeah, no bother. I'm like, this is a big opportunity, at that point, I think we had 15, 16 branches or something like that.
All across the water.
Across all, yeah, everyone bar my dad. My dad's the only one in NI at the time. Everyone else was Wales and England.
Yeah.
15, 16 branches, something like that at the time. I could be wrong, but that's roughly the numbers in my head.
Yeah, it's proof of concept though.
Yeah, yeah.
That works.
So help. She's like, you want to help out doing the marketing and that, and I'm like, yeah, 100%. It's a big opportunity, big brand. I have little to no marketing experience, but this will be great. So around this time, I finished my second year of uni.
Yeah.
And my course heavily suggests you do a placement year.
Okay.
But at this point, we're at like 2022. So everything's opening up. Both lockdowns have kind of passed, and you get people who have kind of taken 2 gap years, who are now ready to do a placement year because placements weren't being offered in those in 2021, 2020. So I'm going up against 3 times the amount of people I should be for these placement opportunities, and a very limited amount in the field you're going for. I had an interview for a marketing placement with BMW, and they never told me how much I missed out on, but I think it was close because my dad kind of helped me out with the application and stuff through his connections in BMW, all that sort of stuff. So at a different time,
so
maybe I'm working for them.
You're doing marketing for.
So all that's going on. I'm hedge fried. The applications are a nightmare. They make me jump through all these hoops for a beyond minimum wage job.
Wow.
And you're doing full time like graduate degree work. Hedge fried with that. I'm putting my blood, sweat, and tears in these applications for the interviews and still not getting anywhere because I'm going up against so many people. And a girl on my course was telling me that she was doing her placement for her parents' company, but she was doing genuine marketing. Mm-hmm. And around this time, I'm listening. I've been listening to loads of podcasts. But I think you're definitely familiar with Gary Vee.
Of course.
Yeah. So.
Of all his books.
Yeah.
I'm actually listening to his latest one at the minute.
Right.
Daytime Trading.
Right.
You got Daytime Trading?
No. I haven't listened to any of his books. I've listened to shitloads of podcasts he's been
Get
on.
his books.
I'll give him a go.
Jab, hook. Get his books.
Have you listened to his Joe Rogan episode?
No.
No, so he's got a Joe Rogan episode from years ago. It's actually really insightful because he predicts loads of things that happen on that podcast.
And he's always right.
Yeah. He predicted Reels. And this is like five years ago. Anyway, sidetracked again. He told a really detailed story about how he got into entrepreneurship, and it all started from spending a summer helping his dad build his wine business. I just talk about it in the end of the books. And he was the first people to start selling alcohol online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he set this time aside to just all he wanted to do was help his dad build the business.
Yeah.
So I'm at this point now where I need a placement.
Now that connection.
My dad needs his first employee. He'd been left in the muck by someone that he was meant to take him on board, and he waited ages to try and take him on board, worked himself into, he needed 2 people but was doing the workload by himself. The guy let him down and he was like, I don't have time to recruit now. I'm fucked. So he needs me. I'm still doing this marketing work for the franchise, so everything kind of lines up well. So we kind of, if also the university's looking at this, we kind of fudged my placement application and put it down that I was doing the marketing for the franchise, which the franchise are giving me permission for, but I wasn't. I was doing a wee bit of marketing work here and there for them, but I was basically also university thought I was doing a marketing placement, and I was like cleaning windows every day, and then doing the marketing work on the side. So marketing work grows, they're happier and happier with what I'm doing. I start building this relationship with Karen Dave.
So you're doing the marketing for the whole brand, not just your dad?
Bits and pieces, very limited at the start. Design this post here, what are your thoughts on this there, sort of stuff. But they're really happy with the work I'm producing for them. I start building this really good working relationship with Karen Dave, the franchisors. And they're offering me kind of wee bit more opportunity, and I'm kind of, I 100% see what the opportunity is and jumping at it with both hands. And like I say, the relationship builds and builds, and we get to the point where they're like, do you want to start doing the marketing for the whole network?
Oh yeah.
And it's mainly social media stuff at this point. I'm like, 100%. So start scaling down how many windows and scaling up the marketing, and see by the end of that year, do virtually no windows and doing all marketing. So it's almost like I thought that job into existence.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, when I said I was doing a replacement, I actually was. So all started to calm down. I didn't do anything too bad.
I love that though.
Yeah. So by the end of the year, I'm working full time with them. I'm still doing some windows with my dad. I'm working like crazy hours. Because sometimes doing the windows with him, and then I'm doing evenings and weekends working like. And it's I've kind of always had work and drive and. Like, not one to like cry off and be lazy or that sort of stuff, but it's like that year where I'm like, I put it into practice,
you're
it's almost like it's alright saying those things, but it's like, are you willing to work 70 hours in a week? You know, sort of stuff. And it turns out I was. And I didn't hate it working that much. Like I kind of, and I got to the point where not the network was becoming dependent on me, but my work for the network was going really well, and I had to go back to do my final year of uni. And at this point, I made my. At this point, I was speaking to Karen and Dave and was like, I 100% see a future working in this business. I love how you two operate. Yep. I see the potential in this as a franchise. Yep. The franchise is like, this is the next McDonald's. Like, I'm buzzing that me and my dad and my family are here at the ground level. Grassroots. 16 franchises isn't a lot, you know, that sort of thing.
But it's proof of concept.
Yeah, 100%. But you gotta say McDonald's is what's like. It's probably on hundreds of thousands of franchises. In the grand scheme of things, we're still here early doors. Yeah. And they have.
Give it a couple of decades.
But they have the UK cut up into 570 something territories. Don't quote me on that number, but it's something like that. 16 or 570. Still a fraction. But 100%, and I can see. I see their vision, and
can you buy more than one franchise?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what you're going for.
Yeah, 100%. So I see the vision, I see the growth, and they've kind of. I didn't ask them to, but it was 100% something I was always hoping that they kind of took on the shoulder where they're basically mentoring me, and the experience I'm getting on this job is 10 to nothing, and like I can't sing their praises high enough. They're two of the nicest people in the world, like, and it's not, awesome. And that's not me blowing smoke up my former employer or my current franchisor backside. It's like the risk they took giving someone so young so much experience. Like, I'm going to jump ahead again. So the risk they took giving someone so young so much experience was insane. And don't be wrong, they got repaid. I did solid good work, and I worked my balls off.
Good relationship.
Yeah, perfect. But there's not many people who would have given that experience to. At the time I was 22.
I know, 22.
21, 22, something like that.
Wow. But they'd obviously met you.
Yeah,
they'd see qualities in you.
Virtually. So they're both from North London, but they live in Spain. They run the business from Spain. They run the whole business online. Obviously, we're here in Belfast.
I know.
I've been working with them nearly a year before I met them in person. We went to Marbella for our Christmas do. Over where they live.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
Did a big Christmas do. It was great. Met them in person. It was class. I've met them loads of times since then. Like, they stayed at my house recently. So where was I going with that? So we get to the dilemma. Personally, I wanted to drop out of uni. I was like,
yes.
I know I've got a career with this company. I 100%. I see future. Everything's here.
Rewarding future.
I've already got the job. In my mind, I was like, I've already got the job this degree qualifies me to do. Why go do another year of the degree when I could be flat out of this? And I didn't want to. I could tell there was big things coming. I didn't want to drop down my hours and miss out on some stuff and not be able to do the work to my fullest potential, that sort of stuff. I knew I needed to stay full time. But the other thing is, you drop out of a degree after 2 years in a placement, which you have to pay for the placement.
I know, that's.
You drop out of a degree after 3 years, you still have 3 years worth of debt. But no degree.
Yeah.
So if you don't do that final year, I'm still going to be hit with some lump sum of student debt. I don't know what the final figure would have been, but it would have been almost what I have now. And I had conversations with my mum and Jenna, and back and forth, and then Dave and Karen, and we worked out. We were like, kind of like, listen, it's going to be tight, but if you want and you're willing to put the commitment in, you can work full time doing this and do your final year of your degree together. And we'll give you the flexibility when you need it towards the end of the year to do your dissertation and your exams and stuff like that. But if you saying you can do it, we'll let you work full time and do the degree. And I was like, okay. So I did full time. I also got promoted. They also gave me a promotion at the time, and I went from marketing associate to marketing and operations coordinator. And I was. An article got published again by franchise. This is not the article you've seen a year or so before that. Franchise Direct and I can't remember what the other franchise company was called, posted an article because I was one of the youngest people in the UK. I think I might have been the youngest person in the UK to have that role in a franchise.
Class.
Again, credit to Karen and Dave for giving me that responsibility. Yeah. Obviously it paid off for them, but there's not many franchisors that would have done that. So I'm working full time and doing my degree, and about 3 months into my degree, a bit earlier than that, Karen starts making these noises that she thinks we need to rebrand. And obviously, with my job being marketing and operations, that would massively affect my department. I'm like, right, yeah. And she said about the rebrand, and then she wants to bring in new services. Because at this point, we do window cleaning, gutters, and jet washing. We don't do roof and soft washing. We do solar panels, conservatories, and stuff too with our smaller services. The main three are window cleaning. Window cleaning is the main, and then after that, we've got gutters and jet washing. We can ask, they're like supplementary services.
Yeah.
Karen's got this vision that we're going to rebrand, and our whole business models, everything's done from the ground. Around this time, Ionics, yeah, 100% health and safety. So many benefits that being like that. Insurance purposes, you know what I mean. Around this time, Ionics released a system called the Roof Wand, which is a system for cleaning roofs from the ground.
Yeah.
So now that opens up roof cleaning as a service. Soft washing's grown as a service in the UK, which it never really used to be before. It was massive in America. It's only just come to the UK last few years. Karen sees the potential of this way before I did or anyone else in the franchise did. Probably even than Dave. She hasn't talked to her. I'm assuming it took some convincing because Dave's a very facts, figures, straight to the point. He's a guy's a genius when it comes to like his numbers and the statistics behind things. But he's very risk averse and
Karen's the opposite.
Which the yin and yang we were talking about earlier. So I'm assuming it took a lot of convincing to get him on board, but Karen has this vision and she's seen it way before the rest of us and talks us into the rebrand. I think at the time I'm thinking what she said about the rebrand sounds good. If we can do what she said we were going to do, it sounds good, but it sounds scary. And my window cleaner were built on a solid brand and it's starting.
And how many years were they into that?
My window cleaner?
How old was the brand? My window
26 years at the time. It had a previous name before that, but it had been my window cleaner for ages.
Yeah.
Because they built the core business in London, and then before it became a franchise. And at this point, my dad's going like 2-3 years. He's starting to build a brand here, a recognizable name, and I'm a bit. But Karen's vision, she's seen it before anyone else did. We go to rebrand. Takes so much more of my time and effort, and I'm still doing this degree, so I'm doing way more hours than I promised them I was going to do. Still doing the final year of my degree, so that's fine. We get through. Even the name, my property pro. When I first heard it, I was like, I didn't love it. I thought it was good. I didn't love it. Karen loved it from the start. Karen had the vision to see how it was going to be. I liked it. Again, I didn't say I didn't like the name. I couldn't see what she's seen behind it. I didn't have enough of that vision. She's seen it, and we're now a year and a bit down the line from the rebrand. Obviously, I finished. So I just skipped a bit. I managed to finish my degree.
Hey!
I finished with a 2-1. Wrote my dissertation on franchise.
Really?
As a business model,
as
a communicate. Yeah, if you're up for reading it, I'll send you. It's a big chunk of paper, like. How communication works in a franchise, because I'm working on the franchisor side of things. You can remember from they take me on, I'm seeing things from the franchisor perspective, but also a wee bit
behind the curtain.
Yeah, also a wee bit from the franchisee perspective, because my dad's a franchisee. But seeing the amount of work and like what goes on behind the scenes in terms of
to give people the opportunity.
An innovative effect of that, and the rebrand and the new services is, I'm looking at this being like, I want to be part of it. Like, I'm seeing what's going on. I'm like, I was already in love with the brand, but like, I see the potential. I see the potential of the currencies, and I'm like, so we did roof trials before we were bringing roof in as service. One of the franchisees, Ollie in Cornwall, lovely guy. He volunteers the trial roof cleaning as a service. So we go to Cornwall for a couple of days. He has a couple of roof jobs lined up. I've done loads of traveling around the UK with it. It was a great job. Like I've been working for the company now like 3-4 years. And the experience I got from it's unbelievable. So we go do the roof trials, and I'm just like we're charging. I think it was a 1,000 £1,000 job, something like that. And customers over the moon with the results, and it looks amazing. And the talking about that satisfying we get from training, 10 times that.
And was that with the same equipment?
Same equipment, the roof wand, and we're working with the guy who developed the roof wand, Steve Dunmore, the guy who invented it, Scouse guy, lovely fellow too. Steve invented the roof wand, and we're working hand in hand with him. And we only get that because we're a franchise, you know what I mean? Joe Bloggs isn't getting to work with Steve Dunmore, getting his insight on why he's built things this way. And
23-year-old Joe Bloggs certainly isn't getting all that.
exactly. But we're doing that job, and this neighbour's come over and asked about it. This neighbour's coming over and asking about it. This neighbour's coming over and asking about it. Passerby are walking their dogs like, wow, look at this. And I'm like, this is an absolute gold mine. This is gonna absolutely change the face of our business. I was like, literally from that, I got home, told my dad about what it was like, because he's expecting me to adapt this to service. I'm telling him about it, telling him how good it is, and I'm like, I think I want to buy a franchise.
No way!
I was like, I think I want to buy a franchise. So we get to that point, and that's kind of playing in the back of my mind. And I go on now for months or two. We launch 2 or 3 more franchisees at this point. And I'm over, you gotta remember, so I'm going over, as part of my job as operations coordinator, I'm going over and like teaching them about the business, how to run their business, and how to do the services, and marketing, and being a franchisee, all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, back on my mind, I'm like, teaching you how to do this, and I want to be doing it. Like, I could be doing this.
So that's,
you know
that's where you got
I'm telling you how to do it, but
you
I
want to
haven't
do
done it
it?
myself. You know, I haven't got the evidence to stand over myself. We're kind of they've been running this business for 20-something years. They've got the proof in the pudding. I'm telling this guy how to do it, and I've never done it.
That's the argument between theorist and practitioner.
Exactly. So I'm like, I want to do it. So I get back. I do one of the last launches. And I get back. And funny enough, me and the franchisee had spoke about you said, would you ever consider starting your own business? In the back of my head, I'm like, when I get back here, I'm about to ask him if I buy a franchise. But I was like, consider to the franchisee. So I get back. I schedule. They were about to up my workload again, and I'm like, shit myself because we're having this conversation about what my new workload is going to be, and I'm like, I'm about to ask you, can I leave and become a franchisee?
But it's bittersweet.
So I get off that call, and I'm stressed. And then I send an email to Dave. Dave deals with that side of the business, and I'm like, listen, we need to have a meeting like ASAP. Because I'm like, I can't agree to do this work and then turn around and ask them to leave that way. So like, I'm in a meeting ASAP, and he's like, yes, okay, do this date. I was like, yeah, no worries. So we go to do that date and build up to it. I'm shitting myself on the call. I'm like going through every possible reaction you could have to what I'm gonna say, being like, but we've just invested all this in you and all these years. Now you're just gonna walk out there. You're gonna become a franchisee, and we don't have anyone to take your position. Blah blah blah. Get all this stuff.
The chatterbox, the brain
going on in the head. So get to the call, and it goes way better than I could have expected. He's a bit like, whoa, right, okay. I'm gonna have to go speak to Karen about this.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you telling me, through. And then so that he goes away, and that's it. And I have to continue my work that day. And I'm like, I have a couple of interactions with Karen, and message and email, and I'm like, fuck, does she know yet? Is she gonna be annoyed? Is she gonna be like?
But ultimately, if you think about it, that's their baby.
Yeah.
And you've obviously been working on the sidelines, per se, for a better argument. But ultimately, then you fell in love with it. So I know the fear and the insecurity and the doubt and all the madness was maybe riddling you that day, but I'm sure when everything calmed down, they must have just absolutely been delighted with it.
So I had the first call with her, and she's like, so we're sitting there doing, we do most of it. So Karen and I have a really close working in that direction. Like I'm on call with her, like when I was in the job, I was on call with her like 3-4 hours a day sometimes, like on Zoom. So it's like, although she's in Spain and I'm in Belfast, it's like we're working in an office side by side. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we go on a Zoom call the next day, and I'm sitting there, and she's like, big smile on her face, and I'm like, not knowing how to. And she's like, so I hear we've got good news, and I'm like, do we? Is it good news? Are you happy about it? And she's like, yeah, Dave told me what you were saying, you were a bit bad. And she's like ecstatic, and I was like, oh, brilliant, fucking God, she's over the moon about it.
Yes.
And again, that's just testament to how good they are as people. It caused a bit of a headache, and we had to work out a good time there for the pseudo for both of us, and fair for both parties. But their first reaction was to be happy for me. Yeah. That I was making, I wanted to make this jump, and I wanted to make this step, and this developing my person and my career, my trajectory. Just, again, everything worked out fine, but we didn't know it was going to be the case. Again, they have way more experience than I do. It was going to work out fine, but their first thing was like proud of me rather than thinking about themselves.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, you it's almost the perfect outcome.
Yeah. Anyway,
because how many big organisations, big franchises have employees and they leave, go away, hating the fucking organisation because they get to see behind the curtain and they go, not label anybody in this example, but a lot of employees leave hating the owners, hating the fucking business. Whereas you kind of tiptoed into it, ended up, falling in love with it.
Yeah.
Like, how much of a testament and a fucking advertisement is that?
Exactly.
For My Property Pros?
I was talking it all through my dad before, and he was like, you gotta think, that's gonna be such, like, not approval, but such like a reinforcement to all the current franchisees who are
Well,
like,
yeah.
because they're not seeing behind the curtain.
No.
But like he's seeing behind the curtain, and he's still so confident he wants to put his money
You're
where his mouth
basically
is.
My Property Pros personified.
Yeah.
You're the living,
I said yeah too early there.
but you're the living proof.
Yeah.
Because obviously loads of franchises are based on, proof of concept.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not just proof of concept. Do you know what I mean? You're proof of the whole fucking shebango.
Yeah.
Inside, outside, in front of house,
100%.
behind the curtain. I didn't know that. I'm really, really glad you shared that actually.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of opportunities out there that aren't opportunities.
100%. And it's about seeing them. 100%.
And not even seeing them. It's like
making them.
Yeah, and then even then they're not real. From what you've just shared, and if this podcast has given anything to the viewers, and it is that My Property Pros is the fucking real deal.
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and well, let's say, I put my money where my mouth was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jen and I, the only reason I even had the money to start is Jen and I have been saving to buy a house.
Yes.
And, this perfect circle, pushing back to the board.
Back to the vision board.
I can't remember which podcast it was, but again, I was listening to a podcast, and it was about your goals are bullshit unless you write them down.
Of
course. Your goals don't mean anything until they're down on
They're
some
just
sort
a
of
wish.
physical
They're just a
service.
wish then.
And it was like, watch the difference when you write them down.
Yeah.
So in between when I had that call with Dave, and in between that roof trial and the call with Dave, Jen and I go on holiday to Bulgaria. And
Nice.
I've been to Bulgaria a few times. My granddad has an apartment out there. It's great place to go when you don't have loads of money because you feel like a king because their currency's terrible, and then you feel that way. And the weather's amazing. I love it. I've been three or four times now. Jen and I went. It was the second time her and I had been together. We stayed in a hotel near my granddad's apartment, and I was so busted from that year of working full time, the rebrand, and uni. I was so busted. I just needed a week where I could turn my brain off and do nothing, lie by the pool, do nothing at all. But actually, you get to that point, and it was the perfect holiday because we had been there before.
Yeah.
It was like we ate the same restaurants we had been, so we didn't have to find somewhere new. We drank at the same bars we had been, so we didn't have to find somewhere new. We were at the same hotels before. We knew our way around. It was like fine. So basically, you really could like.
What was the hotel? You recommend it?
Royal Sun.
Sun.
It's great. Good luck finding it. There's like hundreds of hotels all with like the same sort of name. If you're interested, I'll send you a link.
Yes.
It's a great holiday destination. But it was the perfect place to be at that time because it was like you could turn that front part of your brain off. It was like I didn't need I could basically go on like automated mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going out for dinner and stuff. And it was like it allowed me to kind of open up the back part of my brain again. It was like because I've been so like work driven the last year. And I was like, did I like where I was now? Did I like where we were going and the timeline we were working on? And it's like her and I have been saving like to buy a house.
Yeah.
I was like, a decent chunk of change, but I was like, we put this away, and if we go for a house where we want, we put that down as a deposit. We're going to be swamped with the mortgage and
pressure, stress, arguments,
and all that money's gone. Well, it's not gone, but it's through the deposit house.
It's not liquid anymore.
And then you have this massive amount you have to pay a month. Like interest rates go up screwed.
Oh yeah.
Plus you have all the other expenses of owning a house. I was like,
and then the car breaks down.
Yeah. Which happens to me all the time. So I was like, we had loads of conversations over that week. It was such a good week, and I was doing loads of thinking, and I was like, I've been wanting to buy a franchise. I was like, we had a plan about what would it look like, what would our life look like if we bought a franchise, what we need to do. Obviously, for anyone who doesn't know watching, franchise works, especially service-based franchise works on like a territorial thing. So I lived with my dad in Jen lived with her mum in Lagmore and West Belfast. So we kind of lived between the two houses. my Newton was taken then. So I love Newton.
Is that your dad's?
That's my dad. Yeah.
Ah,
my dad's my property.
It's territorial.
Yeah, it's territorial. So I'm like, if I want to buy a franchise, either I don't live in my territory, which is not a good idea for your van's never being seen in your place where you're working, your SEO's not as good, your location pins don't work as great. So I'm like, I need to move to whatever franchise I'm gonna take.
Gotcha.
So we start talking about where would be good franchise areas. This is all in Bulgaria before I even have a conversation with anyone. We start planning this stuff out. So start planning out what it's gonna look like, where we potentially would move. We're gonna rent instead of buying, so we can
just to get in the territory.
So we can use the money that we have saved as deposit as my franchise fee and buying the equipment and get me started, lift it off the ground. And Janet still has her job and stuff, so we still have some sort of income, and we have enough left to kind of keep us stable if anything was to take a turn. So that's the plan, and we go away and start setting that in action. But that last day in Bulgaria, I go on Amazon and I buy a board.
No way!
That board, only slightly smaller. The day I get back, I write down my goals.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I write down, so I said with goals. I don't believe too firmly in having like, I want to be living in number 44 this street.
Yeah.
Driving this car.
Too specific.
Because you don't know the trajectory your life's going to take you on. So I like having a North Star, and working in that direction, but being amendable to whatever.
Yeah, then able to adapt.
Exactly. So I wrote down my big overarching goal, and then small, medium, long term. Yes. The overarching goal was I wanted to have a net worth of 1 million by the time I'm 30.
6 more years.
Yeah. So at that point it was 7 because I was 23.
But just as you were saying, without being too specific, who gives a fuck if you land at 800 grand?
Or if I hit
1.2?
Or if I hit the net worth of 28. You know,
but yeah, no, I love it.
But net worth of 1 million at age isn't I want to live in that house, drive this car, and be in this location. It's a more of a it's a firm, accurate goal I want to aim towards without being so specific that it needs to drive everything in my life.
Yeah, they say you shoot for the stars and you might land on the moon.
Yes, exactly. And then I write smaller, a wee bit more detailed, short, medium, long. No, so short term was like find a house for her and I to rent. That was in a territory that I wanted to move into. Nice. So we found our house in Stony Ford. I picked the territory south Belfast and Lisburn, which is outside of Newton Abbey. I think it's the best territory available in NI, which is why I went for it. What was the other short term stuff? It was like get the house, start the business, have the business be profitable within 6 months. It's already breaking even.
So
it's already breaking even.
Pay the franchise fee up in 6 months.
No, kind of profitable is in like pay my monthly overheads, like franchise fee, business loan, van loan, but also be making money to pay myself.
Yeah.
But 6 months was I give myself plenty of time there to be fair. I'm a month in, I'm already breaking even, so I'm not losing money yet. I'm not losing. The business is self-sufficient at this point. Which a month in. See, anyone who works in any of this business is so I'm buzzing with that. I come out. There's other small, and then I had a couple of long-term ones that are like not silly, but like
back to Bulgaria.
No. I hope they got short-term. I'll have no holidays this year because obviously I'll be flat out with the work-wise. But one of the long-term ones was buy Clickable Football Club.
I love that. Well, that's probably Gary Vee because he wants to buy the
Jets. Yeah, that is that they come Gary Vee. Yeah. The other thing is, NI football teams are probably quite undervalued, so it's probably worth like $1 million. So 30, you get there.
You could get in for
So one of the other jobs was be making enough money where Janet can leave her job.
Yes.
I don't know actually if I should be saying this because Janet's still in her job.
But that's a long term goal.
Medium.
I
want her to work for the business in some aspect, whether it be taking over the marketing, doing the admin. Whatever. My mum's doing the admin at the moment because she does it for my dad's branch. My mum left her job. My property poses all like our full family identity at this point. So
and rightly so.
Yeah, 100%.
It works. The money's there.
It's changed the trajectory of my life. Like
elevated, leveled up.
100%. And it's kind of why I go back to like what I was saying at the start about. I feel like I brag a wee bit about where I'm from, as in like how shit it was. Is like, especially I would never say this to a customer, but it's like sometimes I come up to customers' houses and I tell them about the franchise and tell them my dad has a franchise, and I think they're like, oh fuck, handed you this business, that sort of thing.
I know.
And
I get
it's
that.
so far from
It couldn't
so
be
far
further.
from the truth. It's
Yeah.
and I'm sure like I big it up as much as I can on my own personal social media. You got to be your own biggest cheerleader, and you're testament to that too. You got to be your own biggest cheerleader on social media. And I'm sure there's some people who know me but don't know me that well, who see it and be like, who probably think the same thing. Oh, I've just been handed a business.
It's labels again, but this is the beauty of podcasts, and this is why I called the wee show Behind the Beer and the Banter, because it's an opportunity for people to see behind the curtain. You get gifted fuck all. Your dad get gifted fuck all.
Yeah.
It might be 2025 and you're out, with a franchise each in different territories, and people may perceive it as fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But how beautiful is it to sit here and give the whole timeline of it all, like.
Yeah.
It
wasn't actually what I was planning doing, but apologies for kind of running off.
No, not at all. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
Because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, and I grew up in Housing Estate, and I have made every mistake in the book, and I have failed 7 times and got up 8. Now I don't believe anybody looks at me and thinks fucking I can't has had a silver spoon, or because I think everybody knows me and knows that I got up and
you've quite a strong personality as well.
Yeah. And no, that's just the wee remote for that.
No, that's my phone.
Oh, it's your phone? Oh, fucking very good. No, it's because, again, back to the authenticity thing. If I make a mistake, now don't get me wrong, once upon a time before I'd done the journaling from there, I was sensitive and I would have held things back. Whereas now, it's like, we're all human.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, and we're all going to make plenty more mistakes.
100%.
And I believe if someone was to wave a magic wand and say, you're going to have the life of your fucking dreams in the next 30 mistakes.
Yeah. And it's like, how quickly can you make
How
these 30
quickly would
mistakes?
you make them 30 fucking mistakes?
Yeah.
I'll make them tonight!
Yeah. Because it's interesting, I said about Dave being so stat-minded, we have stats on everything in the business, which is great. We get it through Gloria. Do you ever do any door-to-door canvassing?
Once upon a time.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So,
before all this stuff, buddy.
We still do it, still part of our business model. A lot of franchisees.
I'm thinking I'll come back to it.
100%.
Because all the algorithms are not selfish, but if you've I had a wee local group, 10,000 members, I put a post out.
I am
about 5 people are saying it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to rip the arse out of how my hatred for it now. If I email marketing, deliver leaflets, if I send out
especially for a home service business like we are.
Yeah, you're getting that connection straight away.
Yeah.
If I get 1,000 leaflets delivered and I or printed and I deliver them, guess how many I'm delivering? 1,000.
Yeah.
See if I have 1,000. Yep. And I have 1,000 friends on Facebook and I do a post. 1,000 people ain't seeing it.
Yeah.
So I'm genuinely thinking of going back to the canvassing.
Yeah. But I've strong opinions on like small businesses and how they are on social media and how people I think if you've seen the videos and stuff I do on social media.
Yeah. I love them. They're roadside.
And you sharing them. Legend.
I get it though, buddy. I get it.
Did you see the thing I put on? I shared the most recent one and put it on my. It was more of a jokey thing, but I put it on my own personal social media and was like, if people knew how many takes it takes to get these intros done.
And I seen that, and do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking, just fucking do the first take. Who gives a fuck?
No. The first take.
Are they that bad?
Stuttering and saying what I'm meant to be saying. I have a speech I'm quite good at naturally being like, this is what I want to say in a video.
They say the best speeches are from the heart.
Yeah.
So see when you get up and you're trying to get across in that framework in this word and you want to get this bit at the end, your cognitive ability's fucking overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Just get up and say it from the heart and fucking post it and get on with it.
But I'm happy with the end product. I'm gonna keep going until I'm happy with the end product. I'm not a perfectionist, but I know what looks good, and I'm gonna keep going because I know I'm able to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not.
But everybody's got. There's no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
If
I'm
that's
not.
your
I'm
way,
not uncomfortable on camera, so I'm happy to keep doing it.
Yes.
And I by no means want to be a
public speaker.
Yeah, I don't want to be a content creator.
No.
Like it's.
I
have no aims to be an influencer. Trust me.
Yeah, but people are doing it, and I look at it and I think, I'm doing it because I've a business to promote. Yeah. Why are you doing it?
But it's like
not you personally. We're doing it because we need to. It's free.
No, I have no issue with content creators and influencers, and you know what I mean. They're doing something. Yeah. They're doing something. I hate people doing nothing. They're doing something, and if it's what they enjoy and it creates content that other people enjoy, there's nothing wrong.
That's the purpose. If people are getting value and takeaway and entertainment from it, grand. But no.
But so as said, if people see how much, so
I see.
I'm recording. I'm doing like that one video. I did like 50 takes on it at least.
Fuck off.
Like at least. There's one I haven't put out yet of me doing window cleaning. And all it's a window cleaning video. It's the first window cleaning video I put out. So we don't have actually window cleaning videos on our YouTube channel either because they're not as eye catching as the other services.
Of course.
So I had in my head in the intro what I'm gonna say is I'm here with one of our regular window cleaning customers. Every time we clean when we clean frames and sills as standard. And we offer 100% guarantee in our work, and because window cleaning is an eye catching service as the rest of them, to make this a bit more interesting, I've also videoed this on a POV camera. That's all I wanted to say in the introduction. Couldn't get it out for the life of me. That one took me like 100 takes. And because I knew it was going to be a bit harder to do, I did it. So the house in the video is my house. So I'm standing at the front of my house. All my neighbours are watching me go, fuck, they start again. By the camera. Here you go. 3. I go to myself. 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm in for my property pros and start.
I know.
And then you put that on social media, and don't get me wrong, I have so much thanks for my friends and family who do interact with my stuff, and my interactions are good. But I know there's people saying that being like, Aidan's making that, scroll on. Like that. I like a comment or a share does so much that algorithm, and if you knew how much time and effort we're going into that, I think every single person, every time I see any small business especially from NI on social media, I like and comment on everything they put on.
Yeah, me too.
At the very least, I like everything. I like everything I see from a business owner who's just trying.
Well, yeah, that's why I said, you know, when you touched on the fact I share your stuff, and it's because I get it. But I think that's what being an entrepreneur is. You get it. You know, a lot of people will judge, criticize, scroll on. They won't. Like, what's the thing? You know, you'll buy £100 bottle of perfume off fucking Britney Spears or something. A celebrity that you'll never know, or meet or whatever. But you know, your mate you went to school with, your partner's fucking brother, your mate's fucking, you know, dad. Mm-hmm. And we won't even give them a like, comment, tag, or share.
For the second it takes you to like or react to a video on
you know, and it is wrong, like, without tapping into morals and values and ethics. You know, we are, I love entrepreneurs because we're the maddest bastards out there. We really are. You talk about having courage and, you know, I hate to, like, it's not thick skin and it's fucking just courage. Getting up every day and knowing that who likes public speaking? No one. But we have to do it every day, whether we're happy, sad or indifferent, to push our business, because we don't get holiday pay. We don't get, you know, 2 weeks off at, you know, Christmas paid. You know, we don't get 50 fucking sick days a year. We get fuck all unless we get up every day and attack, play offensive and shoot for our goals, like. And not every day do we feel brave enough to do that. We may be arguing with the missus, we may have, you know, had issues with mum and dad, you know.
100%. When you're an employee, you go down and hang your head for a day and be like,
sit in the toilet for an hour, you know.
It's not the same as going around.
We ain't got those, I hate to say privileges, but you can go to work and you're meant to be there working for 8 hours. You can do 2 hours working a bit of skiving. You know,
there's hundreds of people doing it every day. Thousands of people doing it every day.
Just maybe a bad example, but you know what I'm saying. See, when you're on the front line, you know, and in the back of your head, you're thinking these bills are coming out, and you might have came across Gary V. You know, you're like, it's a lot of pressure, but ultimately, it's, you know, freedom ain't free. And if I have to grow and meet new people and read different books and hang around different people and disconnect from A, B, and C to have a little bit of freedom one day,
Yeah.
I'm personally up for it. You know, I've done it.
Do you mind if I head to go to the toilet?
Yeah, no problem. And then we're gonna with the famous question: marketing, advertisement, sales, and tips is coming.
No very well. If I'm over talking at any point, you need to move me on or wrap me up. Just tell me. By the way,
It's all good, mate.
Maybe saying that's your point. You can cut it here and put a wee advertising in for Christmas carpet for you.
Thank God you sent me going to the toilet. Jesus. Back in the room. So yeah, no, one of the questions I love to ask, because once upon a time, being an entrepreneur, you think, right, I'm really, really good at my job, or the field you want to get into, have a passion for it, I'm the fucking best. And then you realise you're the best sitting at home. And then for me personally, it was like, right, well, I need to know sales then. Sales, once I know how to sell, then I'll be the best at what I do, and I'll be able to sell it to people.
Right.
And then you're like, right, okay, I'm still sitting in the fucking house, I'm a cracker at what I do. If I could get somebody in front of me, I can sell snow to Eskimos here. But I'm still sitting in the house. Yeah. It's like, fuck me, right, well, how do I get people to phone me?
Yeah. They get the phone ringing.
How do you get the phone ringing? So then you have to then explore and educate yourself on marketing. And then that's what kind of links it all together for me personally. That's when the anxiety left.
Sure.
I know how to market. When the phone rings or the inquiries come in, I know what to say and in what order to say it. Then I can get it in the diary, do the job, get the money. And that's the loop.
Your money pays your marketing budget and so on.
Boom, boom, boom. But that took, I'm still learning.
Sure.
But I know enough. So that's why I always like to believe that people are watching and they might get educated.
Sure.
You know, I know it's entertaining and we enjoy that.
100%. I think one of the, as a viewer now,
A guest?
Guest, yeah. I was going to say participant, yeah. As a viewer turned guest, one of the best things about stuff like this is like you can watch all the podcasts, and I do. I watch loads of podcasts and listen to loads of podcasts of English guys, American guys, but it's so good seeing someone else here from NI talking about business. You know what I mean? And it's alright because it's easy to lie to yourself and say, oh, that works in California or that works in London, but that won't work in Belfast. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And seeing local businesses talk about what they're doing it's one of those things I say we were saying earlier. There's never been more opportunity for success. There's never been more information at your fingertips. People talking about what they do, happily giving you their blueprint for how they operate. Not maybe not so much their marketing and IPE and stuff like that, but
the fundamental principles are the same, you know, and that's why I always love to, you know, ask, because you don't know who's listening, and I hate the stage where I was at once upon a time where the bills are coming and you don't know how to get to work.
Sure.
So that's why I always ask people that come on, what is your best sales, marketing, you know, software tip?
Yeah.
You know, what do you feel could take the pressure off someone at home if they just knew how to close a sale, they just knew how to market a Facebook post, or they just knew what piece of
you're gonna have to pick which one you want me to talk about first, because otherwise I'll go off on a tangent and get lost in where we were.
So I believe the whole kind of circle starts from marketing.
Sure.
What's your best marketing tip? What worked for you? What did you
we'll prefix by saying I'm only 6 weeks in business. But I say
what worked best for my property pros?
Yeah, so I've got marketing is the best one to ask because it's where my experience is, what my degree was focused on. It's where I worked in the business for nearly 4 years, like literally running the department. But in terms of like fundamentals that I think a lot of small businesses, particularly here in NI, but probably everywhere, but small businesses I see here in NI miss out on or it's shit, and some people don't like it. I personally have no problem with it all. I can tell you don't have a problem with it either, but no one tells you about starting a business in the 20th century or in the 2020s is you're a business owner and you're a content creator, and whether or not you like it or not, that's what you are. And my dad's not that comfortable on camera, but he's starting to get his head around that. And he didn't like losing his anonymity, but that's gone. If you're the face of your business, unless you've got staff or you're going to hire a spokesperson, you're the face of your business, especially when you're a service-based business like
Absolutely.
we are. You're a business owner and you're a content creator, and the more and more you can accept that, and the more and more you can give, and not as much. Obviously, business owner comes first, but content creators are close second in terms of the hats everyone wears. Content creator probably falls down to like 15th, 16th. If I run what I'm doing, content creators top 5. I'm not shy on camera. I'm not a shy person in general. I don't love the fact that I'm having to put myself out there and those sort of things. I'm a young man from Belfast. I know. It's like fucking. Can't believe he's getting like that. What a tit. You know,
I know. You gotta put
I mean, not back to my Property Pros YouTube channel. People are probably laughing. It's probably getting sent in the group chats I'm not in. But I don't know. You know that way. It's pushing my business forward, so I don't give a fuck about something.
So here's the next question then. We know where to push, but have you a certain kind of context that you push? You know, and why I'm asking that is, I came to the conclusion, like I push the entertainment kind of principle, and why I keep my brain's just wired that way now, where I collect all this evidence, this weird evidence.
Sure.
Whether I'm entertained or not, I try to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know the Robbie Williams song, "Let me entertain you," right? And then you've got the other one, Russell Crowe, Gladiator, where he turns around. Are you not entertained? You know, and then you've got another famous song, and we're all just entertainers.
Song 2 by Blur.
Yeah.
My dad will be proud of that, but I got that off.
You've got all these signs. If you want that, if you entertain enough people, you know you'll get what you want in life or something. It's like anybody that's ever pushed this.
Sorry,
no.
It's like with like the short form content and the way that society's going. There's a blur between entertainment and fill in the blank. Everything is entertainment and something else. You've got sports is entertainment and sport.
Yeah.
News is entertainment and news. That's why there's so many issues around what's the truth and all that stuff. Because the news are also trying to entertain you now. Like with the news channels are on TikTok and everything you're 100% right. Everything has to be entertainment and whatever the fill in the blank, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I just think it lends itself beautifully to advertising, promoting, your business. If you can be on the radar with something kind of on the radar, it doesn't have to be 10 out of 10 entertaining. Even if it's just one, people will scroll and go, but they'll remember you.
Yeah.
You know, that's again.
But I don't know. There's not a lot of the viewers are going to get anything out of this, but the benefit of you and I working in the cleaning industry is it's naturally entertaining. It's naturally satisfying. It's easy to make content out of.
Yeah, and you can be lighthearted. You know, I don't think the entertainment marketing principle, if you were a fucking heart surgeon, would come across well.
Look, Ranner's.
Yeah, he's big.
Ranner just an airline, and I follow Ranner on TikTok.
Yeah,
you know,
he is.
I don't like them as an airline. I hate when I have to fly with Ranner, but sometimes you have to because of the cheapest flight.
Yeah, but they know it too.
Entertaining on
they
social
know
media.
it too. So I love that.
And they lean into it.
Yeah.
But that's right. That brings me on to my other tip, if you want to say about marketing, is that again, so many. And I think it comes down to cost management, and I think it costs too much to do it in terms of small businesses and I. But so many small businesses and I don't value having a brand.
Of course. Well, that's
branding and being a brand is.
Well, it's sales, marketing, brand.
You're from Antrim. Dougie's Goodies are like
yeah.
blowing up at the moment. Like, they just opened that new store in the city centre. That's all brand. I've never read any of their stuff, but I know everything about it.
Yeah.
And I've been told that their stuff tastes good, but the reason they're doing well isn't because their stuff tastes good. It's because their brand is so
stuff
strong.
tastes good.
Yeah.
But they've got a brand.
Their brand tastes. Their brand brand is so strong.
No, I totally. That again, this is why I love this wee show. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's took me fucking 25 years to get it. I've been through the whole ups and downs, and I wish that there was. I wish, like, I went on to YouTube, heard a conversation by two entrepreneurs, and they started bagging on about brand.
Yeah.
Talk about a shortcut.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Everything's at your fingertips.
Everything's at your fingertips now.
I have so much respect for the fact that you're doing the show, and it's not being seen by hundreds of millions of people, but this show isn't the reason I started my business, but it's one of the small many influences that helped me get there. You know that way.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much value there is. NI is a small place.
Yeah.
Seeing other people from NI talk about the things that not that many people from here talk about. It's this sort of conversation we're having. It's the conversations I love. I hate making small talk. I'm so focused on what I want to do. I don't want to talk about your baby ducks. No, that's not true. That's not true. Your baby ducks. Your trainers. The weather's good.
What tires is on the car?
I hate what Labour government are doing these days. You know, that sort of shit.
Yeah,
Protestants versus Catholics.
It totally normalises. Well, that's my second principle that I love: education.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'll be entertaining, but if you read that thread, I'll be educating the reader on something to do with my business.
Yeah.
But yeah, no time for small talk. I need. I'm still learning. I'm a lifelong. That's why I love BMI.
Yeah.
One of the founding principles is lifelong learning.
Yeah.
And I'm always educating myself because I've never the finished article, and we're only a couple of shows in really, but we're reaching people.
Yeah.
So as a business owner, you gotta lean into that.
There's people. I always think about it from the perspective of young people just because of my age, but there's young people in NI who don't have. I'm a confident believer. I'd have got to where I am if it hadn't been for everything we talked about so far.
Of course.
If it hadn't been for my dad buying the franchise, if it hadn't been for me meeting Karen Daycare and them mentoring me, I'm a confident believer I'd have got where I want to be.
Yeah.
Because I'm driven, I work hard, and I think that's two of the most important aspects.
Smart too.
Yeah. In BNI, you have what's your secret to success in your bio. I wrote and I may have heard this. I listen to so many podcasts. I may have heard it on a podcast, but I wrote, "Work smart and hard. No one ever gets the very top doing one."
Well, that's why I was touching on it. Now you're 24. It's because a lot of times wasted working hard, and I'm 44 now and I can't work as hard as I used to, and that's why I'm tapping into softwares and networking groups and relationships, because you gotta work smart too, kid. You know, there's a lot of glamour put on to working hard, and it's admirable, but you gotta work smart too. So on that note, I usually finish up with asking, what does the future hold for My Property Pros? But I have an inkling that the future holds is a few more territories.
Yeah, well, in an ideal world, there's no other franchisees in NI. It's just me and my dad. I want to run all NI.
And how do Conor and Dave think about that?
I think that I don't ask them. Well, no, they know that's what my aim is, but I think they'd be happy to. Like, franchising and knowing how the model works, and it's a process and an educational process,
So
and you get it wrong
more
sometimes.
fleets, more staff, more
Yeah,
fleet.
100%. I want to have a second van on the road by the end of this year.
Yeah.
I say 6 weeks. Already gone 6 weeks. I want a second van on the road by this year. I'm going to hire my first employee in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
I want to cover all of NI in the next 5 years. So we've done, I think they've got NI mapped out to 8 territories, and we've got 2 at the moment. So there's 6 other, maybe it's more than that, but I think there's 6 other main ones. And then there's things got EX territories, which are territories which aren't viable to be a full territory, but they're like bolt-ons. So like Lisburn wasn't originally part of South Belfast, but I bolted them on. Because it made sense, because they're running these Finning, Egan, Murray, Lisburn.
So on the like geographical route.
So I think I'd expand Castle Rider. I've never been. This is the furthest I've been this direction. The furthest I've ever been this way was Ark Farm before tonight.
Banger.
Yeah.
Carries way.
Yeah. I drove
past. So do you go to Banger cross over? That's why it took longer.
That's probably.
Yeah, that's why it took longer, maybe. So is this your first podcast?
Yeah. First and only.
What do you think of it?
Closing
notes.
It's great. Honest feedback. Honest to God, I think this style of fly on the wall, just open, unedited, honest content, conversation, I think is unique. I say it's unique. We had a conversation before we launched. It's the biggest podcast in the world. Joe Rogan does this. Unedited, just raw conversation, but it's as long as it has a very, very semi-structure, and it's so. I think I listen. I'm probably a small percentage of the population because I listen to so many podcasts, but I listen to 2 random people have a conversation because there's always something you can learn from it.
Yeah.
But this is a focused topic on entrepreneurship. You're listening to 2 people who own businesses. If you're literally anybody in NI who doesn't own a business but wants to start having these conversations, but their friend group doesn't have these conversations, listening in to 2 other people have these conversations is a great place to start. You know what I mean? That tell you how to. That should be how you market this. 100%. It's a fly on the wall content to 2 people talking about entrepreneurship, having the conversations that maybe you and your friends aren't ready to have. But you don't have the friend group to have these sort of conversations. Why not listening to someone else having them? This is why I love BNI, because I love my friends. I've got a friend, girl Lisa, who's just started a plumbing business. Fair play here. Sure, AM Plumbing and Heating is what her business is called. But I don't have loads of friends in entrepreneurial spaces. I'm lucky where I have a franchise. I'm quite close friends with a lot of the franchisees now, just because we're so similar, because that's what kind of Dave are trying to attract as what they want as franchisees. But here in NI, I've got my family, because my dad and my mum are involved in the business. I've got Jenna for support, but in terms of friends, I don't have a lot of friends who are this way.
Relatable.
I can have this sort of conversation with, which is one of the biggest reasons I joined BNI. Like, I don't know, I'm just in the door. I've only been in BNI since I launched the business, but I already see the value of it. And you and I didn't meet through BNI, but we're both in BNI. And it's how we made our first contact in person.
Absolutely.
and it'll lead to more stuff like that down the line. So it's no brainer.
It's an arena for like-minded people. You know. What? Let me see. Favorite quote. Have you got a favorite wisdom quote?
It's not so much a quote. Well, it is a quote. Alex Mosey defines intelligence as rate of learning.
Yeah.
So, and the example he gives is, if I hold up a yellow flag in the air, and hit you a slap across the face, and then 2 seconds later, I hold the yellow flag up the air, and you don't move, and I still hit you a slap across the face, and then a third time I hold the yellow flag up in the air, if you haven't moved yet, you have a slow rate of learning, a lower intelligence, is the example he gives. It's very blunt and simple, but you get the idea.
Yeah, mate, on that note, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks very much for having me.
You're a gentleman, and it was a pleasure.
It's a great conversation.